Today, we are starting a new podcast called Thoughts from the Field, and it is the inaugural first edition. I have Mark Gallo sitting with me as my trusty sidekick to help with this interview of Paul Rowan from Rowan Electric, a very successful company in San Diego. And we're just going to talk a little bit about his journey and find out more about the business and how not easy it is to run a business. And yeah, piece of cake, right? Yeah, so let's, and it's over. Thank you. Thanks for, it's been great. So Paul, thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate you doing that for me and,
pleasure.
And testing this theory out with me. But tell me a little bit, let's just start by telling me about, just about you and how you got started into this.
All right. I don't talk well about myself personally, but...
then talk about your brother.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Everybody talks about him. We are second generation electrical contractors, and I am just a cheap facsimile of my dad.
Okay.
He started his business in 1970 in Mammoth Lakes, California, after double migration from the East Coast to sunny Southern California.
Yeah.
Decided that having a couple of kids with a small backyard in Garden Grove was not the thing. He wanted open space, so they moved to Mammoth in 1968, and we were there for the 100-year storm in the winter of 1969.
Yeah.
So anyway,
welcome to Mammoth.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
60 feet of snow.
And,
why not? Here you are. But right after that, he decided to hang his own shingle, and then I was his first employee at 9 years old, crawling under houses and all those kind of things.
Right.
So it's been in the blood since that time.
Got it. And so, typically, when you're a 9-year-old and you're crawling under houses, and I'm sure you want to live in kind of, I don't want to say the shadow of your father. I mean, it's not the right terminology, but it's like taking his legacy on is, I think, a better way to say it. I know you have a brother, Mark, that you work with. What made you continue on and have the drive to do that? Was it just, did you really love electrical work, or you went to college? What happened?
Yeah, and that is an interesting story.
Yeah.
I tell people I went to college to continue to play sports, and somehow an education popped out. But my dad was a vocational electrician. He actually adopted not to go to standard high school, but went to a vocational high school, graduated that way. So he was always hands-on. Yeah. He recognized that there is a business aspect that's necessary. And
right.
encouraged me to go to college to help with that. So my original goal, honestly, was not to play sports, but to actually get a business degree and understand business, and
Got it.
to be able to work that aspect with him. As fate would have it, though, I graduated in the early 80s when there was a bit of a recession going on. There wasn't enough work and discretionary money in Mammoth to sustain two business leaders.
Yeah.
So he dispatched me to the middle of the Mojave Desert to a little town called Ridgecrest, where Edwards Air Force Base is.
Yeah.
And or Turtle Lake, actually.
Yeah.
And I was working down there for a year, and then from there he said, "Where do you want to go? Do you want to go and continue working in Ridgecrest or go to San Diego?" And I was like, I don't know.
Such hard decisions. Such hard decisions.
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, that's
Isn't it crazy how our education system now is really, it's leaned away from the ROP, right? It's
Yes.
the trades. I mean, I've got 4 boys, and to try to get them into trades is extremely difficult to do right now.
Yes.
Literally, one of my sons is on a plane or is in Florida right now trying to get into HVAC school because it's like $10,000 out there versus like $30,000 in San Diego. It's crazy.
I feel like college now is leaning. It's going to be coming back more to the trades, like it was in like
AI
the 60s,
can't replace
right?
you.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a totally different shift.
And so I mean, I commend obviously your parents for, I mean, obviously giving you that drive to go down that space, and for you to be able to take that ball and run. Usually, my experience has been that families will the children will lean away from what the company business is, the family business is. So that's cool that they gave you the right experience.
Yeah, and it's and just to answer that question a little bit more succently.
Sure.
I honestly did not have the drive to continue in the electrical business originally.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
I mean, when you start being exposed to other businesses, you start thinking that this the corporate world and the opportunity for middle management and up in the aerospace area or whatever.
Sure.
But I looked at a lot of my contemporaries at that time they come out of college and are making 13 grand a year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, and 13 grand in the early 80s wasn't that bad.
No, right.
It's still not good.
Yeah, still not good. Right. Yeah.
So the
I was making that, by the way, in the late 80s.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
It started as just a practical. There's an opportunity to make more money actually in the trades because I was hands-on at that time.
Yeah.
But then it started developing a challenge and recognizing that people are involved in every level of industry, and if I switch from the technical aspect and the feeling that I can learn everything that I need to learn in 2 years, and now what do I do because electrical is no longer a challenge?
Sure.
Which would be very naive, but nonetheless, what I started figuring out is I could meet less, and less is a challenge to figure out how do I market less,
Right.
and how do I serve less, and then go to the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy, and it became a shift. So that's kind of where the motivation went. It wasn't necessarily electrical as a field.
Got it.
Business owner. The challenges of a business owner.
Yeah. And then you're kind of keeping on with something you knew that you could actually have new challenges with.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Can you give us the lay of the land of just the business now, employees? If you want to talk revenue, you can. But like how big where you've come just to today.
So the corporation as it stands right now actually started in '98. We split from my dad at that point, and there was no animosity. It was strictly we couldn't insure both entities.
Got it. Yeah.
Southern California and Mammoth.
Yeah.
And all of that. But I will use that as our launch pad or our starting point. And at that point, we had about 15 people working. We were in the commercial space, mostly office tenant improvement and that type of work.
Mm-hmm.
And we built the company on relationships. And so recurring clients, we still have clients that have been with us for over 30 years.
Sure.
And or we've been with. Yeah. And it's grown that way, and we've kind of ebbed and tide with the different markets. But I would say the constant growth, although it has bumps, would be about 15% per year. From that point forward.
Okay. Great growth rate.
Yeah.
So that was it was organic enough and not too crazy.
I love organic growth. I mean, I know so many people get into the marketing aspects of it, and I think it's important to have that, right? Because if you don't have the marketing aspect, you don't maintain relevance.
Right.
But organic is, God, it's just so much easier to scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a good average too, especially since you're looking at we were talking earlier about 2008. We're talking about COVID. Times when I know you weren't making money easily. And so and that's where that roller coaster starts, and then you start to go, what should I do now?
Right.
And then what motivates you? Actually, what motivated you to get through all that?
Well, it's honestly the need to eat.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that's
Yeah. Well, you're a hunter, though, I know, so you can hunt your food. So I mean, so I don't know, but So you stayed afloat and you kept that going. So let me ask you. So 98. I started Jacob Tyler in 2000. So we've been in business roughly the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. I know I've made a shit ton of mistakes. Mm-hmm. What is a mistake that you have made that nearly maybe cost you everything, or what did you learn from it?
And it would actually still be while I was under my dad's shingle. Was probably I was young, impetuous, had lots of opportunities, and really didn't manage them well. And this was in the 91, 92 area.
Okay.
And, the big mistake was trusting people and thinking that the handshake that I rely on was going to be the same for them.
Yeah.
So we had at that time we were probably only at $1.5 million, $2 million in San Diego, but I had $300,000 evaporate in a week's time.
Yeah.
So developers just walked away. So that was a big struggle.
I find that interesting because coming from your dad, which and I've obviously I don't know your father, but I know the old world, which was a handshake world, right? And when you learn that and because I'm a lot like that too. It took me forever to wow, contracts are really important, because people screw you over, and I hate doing them.
You can't punch them in the face away.
Yeah. It's like, dude, if I tell you I'm going to deliver, I'm going to deliver. Yeah. But it's you figure out that wow, there's a lot of people that don't have integrity. You know, and it sucks when you learn that. I think I learned it for 30,000. You learned it for 300,000. So I feel for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot worse.
Yeah.
So we know how you got your start. Like I guess what sacrifices have you had to make in building this over the past? I know you work, again closely with your brother. It seems like you have a great relationship. I love Mark. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
What are sacrifices you've had to make?
So I'll go back to that time because it's probably the most poignant.
Okay.
At that time, the first big sacrifice I had to make was my pride. Call my dad and say, yeah, you've been at this for over 20 years, and I think I might have sunk your business. That was difficult.
Yeah.
But by God's providence, we also had opportunity directly after that where there were recurring projects. For instance, Home Depot was putting in the little Sensormatic things that they don't use anymore, where if somebody is stealing something, it sets a tone off.
Yeah.
They were doing 2 stores a week, but the work was 9 p.m. as soon as the store closed until 6 a.m. the next morning. And so you did 1 store in 2 nights. So in order it was quick revenue, and it was work that we could do.
Sure.
So Mark and I would meet on 6 o'clock on Sunday evening, because that's when Home Depot closed then.
Right.
Work Sunday night, go to our jobs on Monday morning. Then at 9 p.m. on Monday night, we'd go to the same Home Depot and finish the work. And then we would do another Home Depot on Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and then we would have the few days off. So it was virtually like an 18 to 20 hour day with 4 hours sleep in between.
Yeah.
So from a sacrifice standpoint, it was sleep.
You lost a couple of years of your life right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But it for
Built
us,
the business.
it generated about $100,000 in 4 months.
Yeah.
And it really kind of pulled us out of the drink. So for us, it was, for me, Mark might still argue with me, but it was worth the sacrifice.
It's pulling up by the bootstraps.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's
From those times, I mean, what would you say? I mean, again, I'm fascinated with anyone at a company this long, but how many employees did you say you have?
Oh, I didn't say. But
sorry.
right now we have 140 in total.
Right, that's a hell of a big company. I don't want that. That's a headache. But so I guess what lessons has that taught you in team, and and have you learned from what have you learned from having that size of a company? I mean, it's a tough. I know that's a kind of a generalized question.
He doesn't want to.
Yeah. He's like, all right. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah. One thing that I always tell people is, I said, I don't know whether we're unique or not. I came out of college, started working for my dad, so virtually I've done the same thing and never worked for somebody else.
Yeah.
So I don't know the difference about that. But I will say that from a standpoint of where we go and the way that we think, we are a ministry. That is actually our mission statement. Okay. We are a service to people.
Right.
So the whole desire is to satisfy other people's expectations. That's kind of
that's how you build. Look, that's how. I mean, I think. Okay, I'll just speak for myself. I'm an agency. I've made lots of mistakes with my clients, even, and not with you yet, thank God. But your ability to fix them and have integrity and accountability, I think, is what keeps us alive. And I have lots of guys I know that have owned agencies in San Diego that are shut down. And I think it's because they didn't value that relationship or be accountable. Or maybe they just had one client, and that client, there could be multiple reasons, but I think that it is interesting that's I've had we were talking earlier, I had corporate job in an agency before I started on my own. And I always say, I wish I stayed longer because I thought I knew everything, at 29, when I'm like, I'm going to do this myself. I know better. And then, you just make more and more mistakes. But I was able to stay afloat, I think, just again, fixing things I broke. And I know you've broken things.
Lots.
Yeah, right? And so when you say you've had a client for 30 years, I know you've broken their things.
Sure.
It's impossible not to, right? But they come back, and that's how I think the business is really...
And that's where accountability comes in, right? And I feel like...
And teaching that to a team of 140 is not an easy task because there's so many different personalities, and we were always trying to work on culture. And I think that, I don't know if you can explain that, or if you have it. It doesn't matter, you don't know better, but how do you work with the current culture internally in your business, or who handles that?
So we call it 360 service.
Okay.
If somebody that is at a brand newbie needs a hand with something, there's an open door to come and ask me.
Yeah.
And that's the extreme, the guy that's just starting and the guy that owns the place.
Right.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we look at the same thing for project managers or estimators. Somebody in this group of people that have so much rust on their spurs knows something that the other guy doesn't.
They've
Got
seen
it.
So ask the question.
Yeah.
The responsibility of the guy that's being asked is to actually take the time to answer.
Right.
So, and when I say answer, it's not always verbal. I need help with this task, so let's take the time and work through it together.
Yeah.
So that is a continuum, because the standard, especially in the corporate world, is I'm going to protect my butt.
Right. Yeah,
and
CYA.
I don't have time. That's not my job.
Yeah.
And that's so our statement a long time ago in operations meeting was, when you're walking down the hallway, my mom said, if you see underwear on the floor, pick it up.
But it's funny. That's so true. My son. I think that everyone between ages 15 and 17 should be forced to work in hospitality,
Yeah.
like work at a restaurant. They should have to have some form of service. And so my son was working in a restaurant. I was like, look, you want to impress your manager? Never go back to the kitchen empty-handed. Always pick up a dish somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's your table.
Yep.
Right? And it's that kind of concept, because I know Mark feels this way. Like, we own the businesses, but we sweep the floors.
Yep.
I don't go, it's not my job.
That's actually my job.
Well, I like that job.
Yeah.
Oh my
Sometimes
God.
that's the easiest
Yeah,
job.
the demands.
Right?
The demands are.
I can start and stop, and I know I accomplished something today.
Isn't it nice to be able to kind of start and finish a job? And like, I think that's one of the biggest things that's tough about business itself is, where's the end project? That it's a difficult thing. It's Ugh.
And does it ever end?
Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge you're currently facing with Rowan?
Where do we go next?
Yeah.
And that is where do we go next in the markets that are available to us? Where do we go next? Because Mark and I both have a limited amount of breath left.
Right.
Are
you looking into succession and those types of things, or?
We are, and it's still passive. We're not really intentional on it, because
Sure.
I don't know that I'll ever fully retire.
Yeah.
But there's still standard avenues of succession.
Yeah.
And we're too small for an ESOP. My kids are still lukewarm on whether it would be a legacy company to the next generation.
Yeah.
Mark's kids are just out of school and in college, so those are all areas that we're looking at. So that's the biggest challenge right now, is what to really dive into. So
Yeah, and I get it. Like, it's in EO, right? We call it Entrepreneurs Organization. It's working in the business or working on the business, right? And you kind of just want to be, on it. Not in it.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're kind of there, but you love what you do, and more than everybody else, frankly. I mean, just from an experience standpoint. So you have an ability to really teach people the next stuff, and I think you like it. It's kind of like I like design.
Yeah.
Like I like doing it, so I don't have a problem doing it.
Yeah.
It's not really work.
It's not work to me.
It's not work. It's fun.
And actually being the CEO is work to me. That's what I don't like doing.
100%
I'd
agree.
rather be someone else do it, and I just sit at my computer with my headphones on.
What did I
That'd
tell
be
you
more
when I
fun.
was doing the interview? Right, I was just like, I want to go back and sit down with clients again. I'm
Yeah,
tired.
yeah.
I'm like, I sit behind a computer and I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, you probably don't want to crawl underneath the building and do wire stripping anymore, though. It's
from time to time, it's very therapeutic.
like, oh yeah.
Yeah. What are the biggest regrets you've had? And
That's a good question. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's not a ton. I think that most of them probably have to deal with failed relationships. And
with clients or personally?
Both.
Okay.
And mostly with clients. And when I say that, because they are personal friendships too.
Sure.
But there are a lot of situations where, and most of it is pride, where if any relationship can be solved if there's a level of contrition. Well, most can.
Right.
There are some folks that are just mean and they want to pile on.
Right.
But for the most part, the not taking a hard look at somebody's concern and reacting.
Got it.
Those are
Not paying attention close enough to
Yeah.
the detail of what was really happening.
Yep. And,
Okay.
So that's, and from a regret standpoint, that would be, I can look back and see, at least counting on one hand,
Yeah.
relationships that could have flourished if I would have taken a second, responded, stepped up to
Right.
actually live what I say, which is to serve somebody, to help them.
Cool, man. Well, you work closely, as I said, with a sibling, right? So I might have the answer to this actually myself, but what is one of the toughest compromises you've had to make in that relationship, in the business? And I was just going to say the new logo, but anyway. I just did a new logo for them, and I know they're like, we got to put this on 100 trucks, Jesus. So
That's a loaded question.
yeah. No, but go ahead.
Yeah, compromise-wise, it's interesting. Mark and I are completely different personalities, even though we come from the same DNA. But
Yeah.
he is very much a people person, and I'm a lot more analytical.
I was surprised, I must say,
Yeah.
when he said Paul should do the podcast and not him, because he seems like he's so much more energetic, and
Yeah.
you're more thoughtful and you're the Tom. Right, Tom McFadden.
Yeah.
He's more like you in our relationship, when I'm probably more like Mark.
Yeah.
So I was surprised.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you said that.
Yeah, and it's he may have done that because I have a lot more public speaking experience.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's He didn't realize how informal this was.
exactly.
Yeah. So no, that's it. So go ahead. So
But
it's just because you're so different.
Yeah, so the compromises really come down to actually taking a second to look at the other person's point of view.
Yeah.
So from my pragmatic side, he tells people if you jam a piece of coal up Paul's ass, a diamond's going to come out because I'm so tight.
Yeah.
Whereas he's the daughter my mother never had. He loves spending money.
Yeah. Remind me to talk to him more.
I feel like all the POs go to him.
Yeah.
But there are times when we need to spend dough that I was really not interested in it, and Mark was very persistent about that.
Sure.
And, there are situations where Mark wants to spend, and I tell him that you got to really look at the ROI. And
Yeah.
so those compromises are constantly going on. We've been at it he was with me and my dad's business for 5 years before we split off. So we've got a lot of water under the bridge.
Yeah.
And so the compromises become a little bit easier when we just take a look at what the other person's.
What's the best way you architect that? I mean, I've got a business partner similar, right? I mean, he's very much more the mathematician. I'm much more shocking, a little bit rah-rah. How did you guys find your lanes? How do you guys stay in those lanes?
We started out that way. If I can take any credit at all, it is recognizing where Mark's strengths were. When he came out the gate, he worked in the field for me for a couple of years, did estimating. He made a mistake on a job estimating, and I told him the only way you're going to understand what you just did was to go and build the job yourself. So he went
You
back.
get to eat. You get to eat what you just made.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's a poop sandwich.
Yeah.
He went and did the project and
Yeah.
made it successful, so
Right.
that was a blessing. But in the meantime, it was with Roll Construction back in the day.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that the superintendent from Roll was a guy that was also very influential. So Mark and he became buddies. And the guy was doing business development for the same time he was running work for them. So it gave Mark an entree just because of the way that he is. It
Yeah.
wasn't like he was worming his way in to start building relationships. So
Yeah.
once he got done with that project, I said, all right, take your skills, go to these different companies, shake hands,
Yeah.
make friends, start business.
Be you.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's so he was kind of the quintessential marketer because he didn't really sell. What he did was create opportunities.
Yeah.
So,
It's funny, by the way, earlier you mentioned, an ROI, I mean, do I get it? Because that is one of the toughest things about my job, is explaining how a brand or the work that we're doing with messaging or look and feel or creative, how is that going to turn an ROI when we're not selling widgets, right?
Right.
We got a B2B play, it's service, And it's just basically going, look, a brand is a choice and it's a perception. And, but I can't quantify, oh, this person liked your logo and they hired you. You know what I mean? Or liked your website and they hired you. Or better yet, I mean, in most cases for the website standpoint, really going, oh, this is a company I can believe in because their culture looks right. Their projects look right. Their photography, they're on point here. That means they'll be on point there. And that's such a difficult thing. So when you're dealing with I'm more like Mark again. I'm the guy that spends and loses money. And have there been situations where he spent and it was a failure, right? And you were like, God damn it. Like I told you, and how do you quantify as the guy who's shitting out diamonds? How are
He's
you
making it back.
How are you quantifying when the ROI, when you can't tell, how do you make that decision?
That's how up front, beforehand?
Yeah. How are you just like, fuck it, let's go for it? Or what is making you make that decision?
Honestly, we talk through it. Mark and I do.
Okay.
And he's also learned that unless they're not so much something in it for us, it's more a matter of let's spend time with entities that we know are not necessarily going to bring value to the business, but are going to be a good fit relationship-wise, because eventually that will happen.
There's a lot to that.
Yeah, so that's and he's creating opportunities there, but my favorite way to go and entertain a client, which Mark loves to do, is to say thank you for a successful project.
Yeah.
So he likes fly fishing is one of his things.
Right.
So guys that either love fly fishing or want to get into it, they go to Alaska, go to Montana, go somewhere, and 90% of the time it's with somebody that we have done business with, and we just want to say thanks.
Sure.
So that has a tendency to make it.
We're not the IRS. You don't have to try to explain it.
Yeah.
You can't write that off, Paul.
That has a tendency to have a contagion within the industry, though.
For sure.
Because if how often do you have a situation where you provide a service that you've put your sweat into?
Sure.
And you get a check.
Yeah.
But never a thank you, never a follow-up, never
Sure.
nothing.
Sure,
And I tell people that I've gotten thicker skin, so my thank you is the check. And
Yeah.
That's great. But
Once it's signed.
Well, it's fun. I mean, it is funny. When you have projects, and I love getting the check. Don't get me wrong, but it is nice when someone goes, "Man, I really love what you did. Thank you."
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, hey, that makes me feel good. Of course, I want you to love it.
Sure.
But you do realize that there's so many different people and the way they handle things, and it's like, even if you look in like a customer service, or like you're sitting in a restaurant and someone's rude to a waiter, like, don't you have any manners, dude? Like,
Right.
that's a deal breaker right there, where I'm out.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how that is. But we're coming up on time, so let me do this. I'm going to end with a Dan Sullivan style coaching question, okay? Which is, if I was meeting you in the next 3 years, what do you believe that the trajectory of the business will be, and where you'll be at that time? And I will be with you in 3 years, I'm sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
The trajectory is going to probably feather a little bit. The last 3 years were a pretty steep incline, and so perfecting.
Explain that a little more. What do you mean?
From a revenue standpoint and the style of project,
Okay.
We changed pretty dramatically from 2022 to 25.
Can you go deeper into that?
Sure. It wasn't necessarily the style of work, with the exception of one job. We just finished an arena in Oceanside, which was
Huge.
a big deal.
Yeah.
But the
size of work.
the size of work,
Got it.
yes, and style
Scope.
also, yeah. So if we were in the details a little bit. We were in the senior living space for a while, which was commercial, some HCI, so OSHPOD type work. But that work has slowed down quite a bit. So I don't see that being a revenue stream in the same at the same magnitude that it had before, but there were some pitfalls there also that we really need to reflect on and do better at.
Because they were different scope size projects that you weren't used to?
No, because we took on 4 or 5 of them all at one
Ah,
time. So,
right. So it's maybe you bit off maybe a little more than you could chew.
Yeah.
But when you say feathered, that's not ultimately what you're looking to have happen. You want the growth.
Right, but
And to handle it.
Yeah. So if I was holding it, let's say in the last 3 years, 25%.
Yeah.
And I want to drop back to the 10 to 15% even on revenue. But the work, I want to go away from the top line and start working more on bottom line thinking.
That's cool.
Better.
So,
Bottom line's
Yeah.
that's more fun. It spends better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I got to tell you, I love this chat. This was great. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for doing this. Mark, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Thoughts from the field, and our first guest, Paul Rowan from Rowan Electric, clearly killing it. And I will say one last thing. I've been to his office, and they have a freezer of great food that they have hunted. And I've got killer sausage, so that is my payment for today. If that's okay. I'd like to come back and get some more sausage and some good stuff. So
There you go.
thanks, man, for coming in. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Okay.
Paul,
Mark,
pleasure.
great to meet you.
Absolutely.